Hello, everyone. I am so excited for this podcast episode today. It is the almost end of summer, and I have brought Allie, my previous client, on. Allie and I worked together about 5 years ago, and anyone who is listening today that hasn't heard Allie's first podcast episode, please go to the show notes. You can hit pause on this. This episode today is really going to focus more on what happens after you get your period back. We always talk about how do you get your period back? How did she get her period back? Well, you can go to Allie's first episode and listen to how she got her period back. But today we're focusing on what happens after she got her period back, how she got married, met her husband, ended up becoming pregnant almost by accident and feeling just so grateful. And today I'm speaking with her at a very special time in her life that I cannot wait to share with all of you. So if you haven't listened, hit pause, go to the show notes, listen to her first episode, and now let's dive in and see where Allie is at today. Welcome to the Period Recovery Podcast. I'm your host, Cynthia Donovan, a registered dietitian and period recovery expert who has been where you are. This podcast is for the active, high-achieving woman who feels like she's doing everything right in her life, but her body isn't responding. Whether you've just discovered you have hypothalamic amenorrhea or you feel like you've already tried it all in regards to getting your period back and restoring your fertility, or you're on your journey to become a mom, you're in the right place. Here, we go beyond just getting your period back. We talk about fueling your body, regulating your nervous system, redefining your relationship with food and exercise, and stepping into the version of you that feels strong, feminine, and fully you. This is your safe space for honest conversations, expert guidance, and the deeper work that creates lasting change. So you can take the stress and the guess out, restore and keep your period and your fertility and your connection to yourself. Get ready to be inspired, get ready to feel seen, and finally get your period and life back. Let's go. Hi, Allie. Welcome back to the podcast.
Hi, Cynthia. Happy to be here.
I am so excited you're here. And this is our round two, not just our round two of our podcast recording, but it's round two of round two. So yes. Allie and I previously recorded, but there was a technical glitch. And so we're recording again, which is great because then we get to spend more time together. And I just love catching up. And so Allie has some exciting news to share because I want to lead off with this just because it's probably going to be intertwined within the story. But Allie, do you want to share maybe in a couple weeks or maybe even, who knows, a couple hours, how life could be changing for you?
Yeah. So I'm currently 38 weeks pregnant. So that's really exciting.
Yes. With a baby girl.
With a baby girl.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's so exciting. So Allie, you told me pre-show that you're spending your last days just chilling and just like getting some things that you need to get done. But you shared that you pretty much just hung out all day yesterday, laid in bed, just chilled, and which is amazing. And I just want to ask, like, you know, do you feel period recovery could have helped in feeling a little bit more contentment in being okay lying around all day?
100%. Yeah. Like, I guess for those who don't know, I did Cynthia's program and I definitely feel as though, I even said yesterday to my husband, I was like, it feels weird just like laying around, but I have become so much more comfortable in honoring days where my body needs that. And during pregnancy, I guess we can dive probably even more into that, but it's been important to be able to honor that during pregnancy. And there's days you feel good and you're running around doing stuff. And then there's days where your body just needs to rest.
Yeah. And how amazing that you're able to rest it and not have the maybe canning anxiety about like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't be resting. I should be doing this and this and that and this and this and this.
100%. I mean, something that I've learned through period recovery is that rest is sometimes the most productive thing that you could be doing for yourself. So
Yes, it truly, truly is. And we're going to have to come back maybe for a part 3, Ellie, of like, because we have period recovery, right? Get your period back. And then it's like, all right, what happens after you get your period back? And then it's like, what happens after you become a mom? Because that's a whole new, ball game as well. So we'll have to check back in with you. Maybe we'll give you a good year.
I'd love to anytime.
Yes. So I just want to share for anyone who is listening that has not heard Allie's first episode. I'm going to link it in the show notes because we really went deep in how she recovered her period, what it was like being a personal trainer, through the process, identity shifts, and all that. So if you want to take a pause and go to that episode first, you're more than welcome to. But today we're really going to focus on the part of recovery that probably isn't talked enough about, but definitely will be talked about a lot more as I have all these amazing women that have, I've worked with and now they're pregnant and they're like, off doing marathons or whatever it is. So we want to know like what happens after you get your period back. We put so much emphasis on how do you get your period back, but what happens after you get your period back? So I encourage you to listen to that first episode. And Allie, I know you were on the podcast before, as we just mentioned, when you were in the thick of period recovery, like when you think about, say, that version of yourself, what do you remember the most?
I just remember like being so anxious all the time and just having always being one step ahead. And something that I really honor these days is just living in the moment, living day to day, trying to just, be the best version of yourself you could be that day. And it's so hard during the thick of being an HA because you're constantly like anxious about the next meal, the next workout, the next weigh in, or whatever it might be. So I just remember being really highly anxious, almost feeling trapped in my daily ritual of movement and food and feeling like I even recall having days where I was like, am I going to be like this forever? Like, kind of recognizing
Mm.
it was a little obsessive and wondering if there was a way to kind of get my mentality out of that. So I feel like anxiety is like really where,
Is that it? And do you
yeah.
think that was just anxiety of like, am I gonna like have to eat this way and like be this way forever? Or like, what is like, were you kind of forecasting what the future might look like? What do you think was, or was it, Ellie? So maybe not even going there, but, or was it like, I spent so long in my life following a certain routine, structure, and being healthy, right? You were a personal trainer. So I'm sure somewhere along the line you learned, okay, exercise most days, eat super healthy. Like voila, have a nice body and you're healthy, right? So, or do you think it was a little, what do you think it was, the anxiety, if you had to go a little bit deeper?
I think it was maintaining the body that I thought at the time was an ideal body type. And I thought what I was doing was what I had to do to maintain that body. And what I didn't realize was that body actually wasn't the healthiest version of me at the time. This was like 2014, 2015, when we were very much in the fitness mindset of like no days off. I feel like it was kind of praised then. I think we've come a long way now in 2026 as far as what health really is, what fitness really is. But it was definitely trying to maintain the leanest body. For whatever reason, I was really, I guess, obsessed with that. Um, just trying to be the leanest version of myself, thinking that that was the healthiest version of myself. And it definitely was not.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And I know I mentioned to the audience already that at the time you were a personal trainer. Um, and potentially, what I'm hearing is one of the hardest parts was like losing who you thought you were, or who you thought your body was, should I say. What do you think your life was going to look like if you couldn't be the fit girl? Like what story, if you could remember, what story did you have in your head? Like, oh my gosh, like my clients are going to drop me. Like I'm going to turn into, someone who has to like be removed from their house, and like what stories, if you could remember, were going on in your head?
Yeah, I mean, definitely my job. I found that my body was kind of a representation of my business, not realizing that I could still have this, I mean, I hate to even say it, but like pretty awesome fit body that, without being the leanest possible version of myself. And I was actually stronger not being. But yeah, just I think a lot of it was wrapped up in my job. I think a lot of trainers can maybe relate to this mindset, at least at some point. Hopefully not, but I think they can, where, you're kind of a walking example of your, you know, results. So people would constantly compliment my body at that time. And I felt like the leaner I was getting, especially from, the maybe like baby boomer like women were like always complimenting me that, and I don't know, I just felt like I had to, if I wasn't that lean, then I couldn't be a trainer or something like that. I don't even know what I was telling myself. It's kind of a blur, to be honest, that
Yeah.
time of my life. It really is.
Wh- yeah. And I mean, hence, like at that particular time, we were very underfueled. And when we're underfueled, we aren't really working with a full deck of cards, if you will. So I could completely relate to that way, because I think if someone asked me the same question, it would be kind of touch and go with that. But I think for a lot of trainers, or even me as a dietitian, Allie, it's like, well, when I knew what I had to do, I'm like, what are people going to think? Like,
Yeah.
I, I'm a dietitian. And this could be for really anyone. It doesn't even have to be your profession. It could be like, well, everybody knows you as the healthy fit girl. And what is life going to look like if I'm not doing the things to make me the healthy fit girl? And I think it's totally fine, Ellie, that you share, like, you know what? Guess what? My body, I friggin' think my body looks better. And I know this is not about aesthetics. It is not at all. But I think the thing is, what a lot of us miss is, if we take care of our bodies in the best way possible, in the healthiest way possible for our bodies, that our bodies are going to be amazing, and they're going to be stronger, much stronger. And I'm sure you can relate. Like, I know you're pregnant now and you're a bit far along, but previously, I bet you were able to feel stronger. I bet you were able to do less and get even more results in the gym.
Yeah. It's actually pretty awesome because I feel like the routine that I had as far as exercise and the expectation that I had on myself during HA was really grueling and exhausting, and definitely not sustainable. And I feel like the fitness level that I achieved post HA was definitely, I mean, like a significantly stronger body, like astronomically stronger. And it was so maintainable. And it was a routine that was very easy. I don't want to say easy. It's like working out is working
Yes.
out, but like very manageable, not working out for hours a day. I would sometimes do a 15-minute workout, or I would not be afraid to skip a couple days and make sure I was fueling. And it just was like this freedom, like this massive
Yes.
freedom that I wasn't like shackled down to this hours of exercise a day, because I'm
Yeah.
sure women listening understand that mindset, and it's anxiety riddening.
Yeah. And movement fit into your life versus like you fitting into movement's life. Right?
Correct. Yeah, you give what you can every day. I mean, there were days where I'd work out for like an hour, maybe hour and 15 minutes. Other days you get 15 minutes. It just whatever you have that day, you make it work. And I try to really instill that in my clients too. Like you can be fit and not, work out for hours a day.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just want to say, back to the client piece. Because it's like, yeah, we, in essence, personal trainer, doctor, dietitian, anyone that is kind of like almost a billboard for their job, even though that's really not true. What we look like on the outside has nothing to do with the person we are in the inside. But thinking about now, it's like you thought you were the billboard, but really, how has your approach changed to where how you're carrying yourself, and what maybe you are passing down to the women that are probably just as scared as you were, if not more scared, to properly fuel and rest? Has that changed? Like, has your kind of whole training perspective and how you work with clients changed?
Yeah, I think I'm a significantly better trainer now than I was then. My clients have better results now than they did then. And I think it's
Yay!
because I have become more of a relatable person. And I think you really do have to practice what you preach. And then that way, what you're giving out into the world is also what you're practicing yourself. And I think it's important. So, yeah, I think, I try to kind of, I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of people want the aesthetic result, and there's nothing
Mhm.
necessarily wrong with that. But I try to veer away from that. And I'm like, listen, if you're, moving your body in a healthy way, which isn't too much, and it's also not nothing, fueling your body properly, then you probably will like the way, or at least accept the way that you look,
Ex- And
So it might not be what you originally thought. So I try to work a lot on the mindset piece with my clients too. And they're like, I want to be skinny, I want to be this, I want to be that. And I'm like, we're not gonna talk like that. We're gonna talk more like, I want to get this much movement in a week. I want to get this much protein in a day, this much water in a day, this much sleep in a week, and then aesthetic does a lot of times come with it. And it's funny how I'm able to sometimes help shift that mindset around being so aesthetic driven to just being the healthiest version of yourself. And it just breeds strong, healthy people.
yes, yes. Well, we need more trainers like you
Yeah.
out there, Allie, because I think personal trainers have such an influence on not just women, but all men, women, everything, and so if we could have more of like what is like true health, like it's not the way you look. I was actually just explaining to a few teenagers. One of them found out that I was a dietitian and they're like, oh my god, help me lose weight. I'm like, that's not really my area of expertise. I said, but I can tell you how to become a healthier version of yourself, and so these preconceived notions about weight equaling health, but like, what does health mean? Because you can be, and I also explained to her, I said, you could be in a very, very small, thin body and be more unhealthy than what you perceive as somebody in a larger body. And I explained, what I do as far as menstrual cycles and stuff like that. And she's like, wow, that's really, really interesting. So let's, and that's the beautiful thing about recovery as well. When you go through it yourself, you get to spread this light to others out there that may be struggling just as bad as you were, if not worse. So I am so excited to hear that, Allie. So, okay, moving on a little bit now, I want to talk about a little bit of how like life, not how life looks like now, because you're about to like pop a baby out any day. So life might look a little bit different,
Yeah.
but let's even go back to before baby. You didn't just get your period back, you kept it. What was like having a consistent cycle kind of allowed you to do than you couldn't before? Like what did you feel more safe enough to do than you did before? So pretty much like I'm not even talking about the period, but in a nutshell, how has life shifted to know that you're having a regular, healthy, functioning cycle and that you can eat freely, you can move freely?
Yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned this in my last podcast and even earlier before, but just freedom.
Yeah.
It's just one, it just feels good to get, to have a body that's functioning as a female's body should at this time in my life, cycling, feeling like I know what's coming every month. I know how to work with my cycle. It's another thing my cycling clients, I try to honor the different phases of their cycle, utilize them. I feel a lot more comfortable resting and allowing myself to enjoy things in life. Like I love to eat, I love food. I definitely believe in eating a good balanced diet, but I definitely love. I mean, I'm known to love a treat, like a sweet treat, an ice cream, and I don't deprive myself at all of those things. I didn't before pregnancy. I'm definitely not during pregnancy. Um, might have to dial it back a little bit after. But yeah, it's just a freedom that comes with it. I feel stronger. I just feel healthier. I like knowing, um, during HA, I was always wondering like what's going on with my body? Why aren't I getting a cycle? Or I had a time of getting like extremely irregular cycles. I was like, oh my God, when is it coming? Is this a symptom? And that was even worse than not getting a cycle because I was just constantly trying to guess if my body was about to get a period. So it's nice to know like my periods were very predictable. Knowing what my body's going through at the exact time of the month, being able to cater my life accordingly, truly honoring it, honoring rest if I need,
Mm.
taking a rest day if I need, and knowing that that's not gonna do anything, and trusting my body, trusting the workouts that I'm doing, trusting the resting, the eating, and just being able to be more free around family, around friends, at holidays, on vacation. It's really freeing because you don't realize until you're out of it how shackled down you really are,
Mm.
and you're never really present, at those gatherings, at that vacation, trying to wake up crack of dawn to like make sure you get that grueling workout in. Like, no, like enjoy your time. Nothing wrong with working out on vacation, nothing wrong with not working out on vacation, like it's just, I think that's the best way I can explain it.
Yeah, yeah. I like to say it's like this layer is removed off of you.
Oh yeah.
This layer of shit that does not matter. And what I want to say too is coming from a woman who thought that shit mattered, um, deeply mattered, that who my body was, that's who I was. When you remove that layer of like worrying about what you're eating and how much you're exercising and what your body's going to look like, you're able to experience life so much more fully, so much more deeply, so much more connected. And Ellie, I've had one of my previous clients, Hayden. She was the first one of my clients to describe this so well, of being like a robot.
Yeah.
Like I would wake
100%.
up. Right? You would wake up, you would eat your certain macro measured, whatever it is you're eating, go to the gym, and maybe go to work, or if you're going to like, and it would be the same thing over repeat. Maybe there'd be time for friends and family stuff, but it would have to be, all right, did I get my workout in? Is this going to be too late at night because I have to work out in the morning and I have to go to sleep early? It's like,
Yeah.
but I just remember, and I don't know if you can relate to this, I just remember a part of me that felt like I really, at the time, was truly like living my best life. Like I was disciplined and I was like doing all the right things to be healthy. But like you said, after you get out of that, you're like, whoa, like I really wasn't truly living. And so now we have this layer peeled off, if you will, and amazing things start to happen. And there's a quote, I don't know who it's from, but it goes something like, life can only be lived forward and looked at backward. So there's no way, if you're in the thick of like trying to get your period back right now, there's no way that you can be like, oh, yes, my life is going to be like all these unicorns and butterflies. Like you may have a preconceived notion because you're hearing these stories, but also like you have to live that first to see that it's actually the thing. And then you get to look back and be like, oh, okay. Right. So, anyway, let's talk a little bit more about your life after, getting your period back. That trust I heard you say, like, how, it's probably not one thing, Allie. I know it's not one thing, but how did you like trust the fact that you were going to get another period? Trust the fact that it was going to keep coming back every month. How did you do that? And I remember, I think your second period was a nice 28-day cycle, if I do remember correctly.
Yeah, my period kind of just started becoming regular after doing your program, or during your program. It actually took a minute. I remember, I definitely had moments of second guessing, um, if I was doing things right, because you're still learning yourself, and because you're kind of not very connected to your body during that time. And so you're trying to learn like what is my like homeostasis, what is my baseline, how much extra, like is this too much exercise, like is this not enough, like could I be doing more, should I be doing less,
Mhm.
like should I be eating more, should I be eating less, like, and it just like, I don't know, I just eventually, because I remember I did have moments of kind of stressing it, like, oh, maybe that was too much, or maybe that wasn't enough, or maybe and I'm just like, I just have to let go and do what feels good. You used to always say like it has to, like the intention behind it is important as well. Like, what is the intention behind the movement? What is the intention behind the eating? And so I just tried to learn to just trust myself with that. Like, okay, I'm eating this because this is what feels good to me today, whether that's a bowl of yogurt in the morning or whether that's a stack of pancakes in the morning. It's like, okay, what is the intention behind this 12-mile hike? Is it because I'm at this beautiful mountain and this I want to see it all, or is it because I feel like I have to work off that meal that I had last night? It's like, and I think once you switch your mindset to truly doing things because they're good for you or you enjoy them, um, that's where I started kind of like trusting my body and learning to, and then the more periods that came, the more
Yeah.
I started trusting my body.
Yeah, building that confidence.
Yeah.
And I love that you shared that because I think so many of us at this particular time of like getting our periods back, it's like, okay, well, like what now? Because we're so used to following rules. And yes, in recovery, like in the coaching program I offer, there are some guidelines. Absolutely. I can't just be like, yeah, eat more and rest more like that. Because most of the women I work with already tried that, like, oh, let me just eat more and rest more. And so there is some structure in, what and how much macronutrients and stuff like that. But afterwards, it's like, well, now what? I've got my period back. And like, how do I start to trust my body? And I think one of the biggest things is looking at that intention. So I'm so glad you shared that. And then going from there. And then sometimes it might be like, all right, well, let me do what I feel, is right for my body, having these balanced meals, the intention behind it, movement, and then let's see what happens. Right. And guess what? Your body is going to give you the information. And, if you find yourself stressing and guessing about it, then that's a conversation to be had with someone that could support you in getting regular healthy periods and transitioning out of that recovery stage. So, with that trust being said, so you recently, Allie, too, got married. Was it last year? Right?
Yeah. Last December.
Okay. So, which is like, yes, hey, first we have marriage and then we have babies. Sometimes we
Yes.
do baby before marriage. It's
Yeah.
all in good time. But I remember when I met Allie, you hadn't had your partner, your husband that you had met, and you were the cool aunt, and
Yeah.
just so beautiful how much life has changed for you. But I think marriage is such it's such an amazing time in a woman's life. It's something most of us dream of since we're little girls. And, we get fixated on all right, well, how do I look? And of course, Ellie, you were, I'm sure, in some capacity, yes, I want to look good. But what do you think, like, how do you think, I don't want to say how do you think it would have been different because that's kind of a rhetorical question, but you maintained a regular period, but also like pursued feeling and looking good for your wedding at the same time.
Yes, I definitely acknowledged during my wedding season that I was grateful to have had that period recovery background because I could see how it does become a little bit weird, especially like you're going for these dress fittings and they're measuring you and like you're like, oh my God, I have to fit into this dress the next time that I go. So I definitely had to kind of have a couple reality checks. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like even you constantly do have to check in with yourself years to come after period recovery. It becomes a lot easier over time. And there was also just days where I was really stressed out and was like, I know movement today is not the best thing for myself. I was up all night stressing and um so again, just constantly kind of bringing myself back to my period recovery roots, the things that Cynthia taught me and that I learned through the process of just knowing like bodies aren't, they don't just like change overnight, trusting like, okay, like I don't even know. It was interesting. It was definitely like a journey. I loved my wedding season. I felt very good. I feel like comparatively, I wasn't as stressed as some of my friends were, but I did
Mm-hmm.
sometimes have to constantly bring myself back to things that I learned and like mentalities that I had to overcome as far as the whole like dress fitting thing. It was like a little bit weird, but I feel like I just kind of maintained the similar body that I had all year. I just did the best that I could. And I was like, you know what? Like, this is just a day. I don't have to be my leanest version of myself. I just have to be myself.
Yeah.
And yeah. I don't know if that was a good answer.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Ellie. And I think what's important, the reality of it, it's like, it's not like you did a period recovery program and like all of a sudden you were just like magically never having these thoughts again. And like you're just, yeah, the reality is that you may still have these thoughts, but it's coming back to what is true for me, like what are some of the tools that I might need to lean on. So I'm enjoying the fact that I'm about to get married, not like, oh my gosh, like what if I don't fit in this dress? Now I'm not, me and my bridesmaids are going out to, I just remember for me, Ellie, when I got married, I was knee deep in like controlling my body. And I remember going for my dress fitting and we were going out to Chipotle after. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like maybe I shouldn't be eating that. And then I remember the one of the seamstress was like, okay, like don't lose any more weight. And I'm like, oh great. Like this is good.
Yeah.
So there's so many different things that can happen, but coming back to what is true for you in the moment. And then also, why the heck are we getting married? Like to just wear a white dress? No,
Right.
because we're getting married to this person that's supposed to be our partner for life. And the love, you're getting married because you love one another. And
Yeah.
I think, it's hard not to get caught up into like, all right, I'm going to be looking at these pictures for the rest of my life kind of thing. But who is the person? This is for all the women out there that are going to be getting married soon. Like, when you look at that woman, who do you want to see? A woman that just like looks quote unquote good, or a woman who is really embodying herself on her wedding day and honoring all that health brings to her so that she could be the most healthy, fertile version of herself. And most women are wanting to conceive. If you don't, that's okay. But speaking of conception, Ellie, like what was that like? Like, was it like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get pregnant. I don't have a period. Or was it like, oh my gosh, that happened so quick?
Yeah, it definitely happened very quick and almost unexpected for us. I never knew if I could get pregnant. I still, in my head, had that
Mm,
doctors telling me, because I was told by many doctors in my life that I would need IVF if I ever wanted to get pregnant, when I wasn't getting my cycle and nobody could really give me answers. I think I talked about that in my first episode. But yeah, it's funny because the weeks leading up to my wedding, I was excited, a little stressed, and I remember like not being able to really do workouts other than walks. Like for whatever reason, walking was the only thing that felt good for me those weeks leading up to my wedding, where like old HA Alley would have to be like crushing every lift, workout, this, that. And I remember just honoring it, like talking about it with my friend, being like, I don't know why. She's like, well, you have a lot on your mind. There's a lot going on. Like you start like finding yourself up at night, like, oh my God, I have to do this. I have to do that. So I think maybe like allowing my body to kind of just honor that like chiller vibration before my wedding. Um, Pretty sure I
yeah.
conceived like, and I have no problem saying this 2 weeks before my wedding. I didn't know this at the time until we got back from our honeymoon. But timing wise, I had no idea that I was capable of conceiving that quote easily. And I want to say this with, so much
Mm,
gratitude. And like, I know this is not everybody's journey. I have friends who are still trying to conceive, and I am literally, I thank God every single day for conceiving the way that I did, which was like quote unquote accidental.
mm,
Um, like beyond blessed, so grateful. Um, but yeah, I had no, like truly like when I took that pregnancy test, we get back from our honeymoon, and I was like, I thought I was gonna get my period like either at the tail end of my like I remember I had tampons like ready to go, either at the tail end of my honeymoon or like a day I got back. And then it's like 2 days later, it was the day before Christmas Eve. I was like, oh my God, like could it be? Like,
yeah.
I think and like I knew I was. And I was like, oh my God. And I was just like, this is just a testament to, I think, just honoring your body
Mm.
and truly just trying to be the best version or the healthiest version of yourself all the time. Listen, I'm not perfect. I've
Of
had like
course.
slip ups of mindsets and stuff like that. But yeah, just truly so, so, so grateful. It happened a little quicker than we I don't want to say wanted, but like, we hadn't wrapped our head around conceiving yet. We weren't necessarily exactly in the, you know, perfect time of our life, but who is?
Mm,
And I'm just constantly every day just so grateful for being where I am. And now 38 weeks, like ready to have this baby. It's really crazy.
yeah, yeah. And it's just amazing. And when you were saying that, Ellie, it just gave me such chills and
Yeah.
tears because, when we do take care of our bodies in the ways that our body needs, not the ways we think we should take care of it, but really tuning in. And that takes some time to tune in,
Yeah.
of what our bodies needs. And Ellie, I know that didn't happen for you overnight. It wasn't like, oh yeah, I intuitively know exactly what my body needs, but over time, you build that trust again with your body. Just like if you think about a bank, like if you go into debt and you declare bankruptcy, that bank isn't going to be like, here you go, here's a loan for $1 million. It's going to be like, no, we need to build that credit score back up. We need to trust the fact that you're going to be able to pay back. So, I mean, not the most close metaphor to it, but thinking about that, that's when we it needs time and trust and intentions, so then we can become more intuitive and be like, oh, well, I'm really stressed out right now. And yeah, usually I go for a run, but all I can feel like my body needs right now is just a walk or maybe even a rest. So I do believe that 100% contributed. And of course, you had regular, healthy ovulatory cycles,
Yeah,
going for you. So if it didn't happen that month, Allie, it could have happened the next month or the
for
month
sure.
after that. And so I know, and I just want to share, there's so many women out there that are wanting to conceive and maybe they can't right now because they don't have a period or they got their period back and they're still waiting. What would you say to the woman that might be sitting here wondering if like her body is broken and she's not going to be able to conceive?
I think it's just if you are relating to anything that, really that like Cynthia posts or that, is talked about on these podcasts, or like you're literally in the program and you're doing it, it's 100% possible. And just know, like, if you are relating to that over exercising, under fueling, then it's definitely worth taking a look into, because I have friends who I feel like I've even been able to help be like, hey,
Mhm.
like, maybe you're not getting a cycle because I've noticed XYZ, and you have to like accept that and also then work towards, for me, like once I realized that what I was doing wasn't actually the healthiest thing to be doing, I
Mhm.
was able to kind of like snap myself out of it. I don't know if it's that easy for everybody, but yeah, just trying to always chase health over an aesthetic, especially if you're trying to conceive, because women's bodies, like, we need to have some fat in order to conceive. It's just, your body needs to feel safe in order to conceive. Um, and then once you conceive, then you need to be able to go through pregnancy and not feel as though you can't rest, you can't eat that meal. You might not be able to even eat anything other than like pizza for the first couple of weeks, if you're
Yeah.
anything like me, which in eight, that would have totally flipped me out. So just, it's possible. I don't want to go out on a tangent. But Cynthia's had so many, like, just seeing how many people were successful through her program was truly like the most inspiring thing for me. And like being a part of that, community, having those women to talk to. I'm a big believer in a support group, and that's kind of what
Mhm.
she has. When you're going, because like it's not really the most relatable thing for everybody. So just like, yeah, find a support group and just put the work in, especially like if you are trying to conceive, it's absolutely crucial. And if people are telling you that you can't conceive, you might be able to, I didn't think that I could, and here I am. So yeah.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing that, Ellie. I can't tell you how many women that have been told they will never be able to conceive naturally, or like they're definitely going to have to, have IVF. I've even had some women from different countries say that they have to find a surrogate, like in
Wow.
order to get pregnant. Like there, it's just like, I mean, how did that feel for you? I mean, maybe at the time because you weren't like ready to conceive, but if you were like, all right, I'm ready to go, I'm ready to conceive, and someone was like, hey, like, there's no way you're going to get pregnant naturally. Like a freaking dagger to the heart. Like,
Yeah.
hopelessness. And so I just want to say out there, do not ever lose hope from one medical professional's opinion. Do not. Do your due diligence of advocating for yourself, doing the research for yourself, and figuring out what your body needs. Because at the end of the day, nobody knows your body better than you. And if you can just trust that intuition to be like, all right, this doesn't seem right here, um, follow that and lead yourself to the next person that could support you or could help you. And one other thing I want to mention, as far as like to the woman who never thought she would be able to become a mom, because I was her too. I just remember, okay, it's just never going to happen to me. And then my friends started getting pregnant around me, my family members. I'm just like, this is never going to happen for me. So it was just such a like I had such a negative mindset around it. And it wasn't just about that. There were other things that I could have been a little bit more positive on, but starting to put out more positive energy, even if it doesn't feel like it comes natural, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be a mom one day. Like just say it. I am going to become a mom one day. And it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And start embodying that version of you that wants to become a mom. So maybe you're an aunt and you're taking care of your niece or nephew. Your friend just had a baby. How can you be there for her? So starting to just shift that, like, this is never going to happen for me, to this is going to happen for me. It's just a matter of when it's going to happen. And it's a matter of, am I taking the aligned action to support that manifestation, if you want to call it that, of becoming a mom, like stepping into a healthier version of herself. So I don't want to spend too much more time there. I got a few more questions for Allie. And I want to know if, Allie, if you had stayed stuck in that, all right, this is what my body is. I got to be the leanest version. Yes, of course, you might have needed IVF, but what parts of you, like your core values and who you are as a woman today, would not exist if you had stayed stuck in that other version of yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I would have anything that I have today. I don't think that I would be with my husband, honestly, because I don't know, I just don't think I would have manifested or like just brought in a relationship like I have now. My husband is very like, he loves to snowboard, he loves to mountain bike, he likes to hike, he likes to lift, he's strong, but he's half Lebanese, he's half Italian, and like loves food, like loves to eat, loves to cook, loves to have flavorful food. And I just like don't think we would have aligned enough to have had the relationship that we have. So, and being with him has also just like helped me so much, just like but that's another thing. So I don't know. I just personally don't think he would have even liked me in my old mindset. And I like tell him sometimes, I'm like, I used to be like this. I used to be, and he's like, oh, well, like, no, definitely not. Um, so, and yeah, obviously I wouldn't probably, I don't think I definitely wouldn't be here at 38 weeks pregnant if I wasn't, cycling and all of that. And just, I don't know. Like, I feel like now, like I said, everybody who knows me knows I love like a treat. I love to, go out to eat. And I just don't think that would be maybe a thing either. And I don't know. I think I would just be stuck in that same cycle. I don't know, life just wouldn't be as fruitful, that's for sure. That robotic lifestyle that you talked about, it's
Mm,
so relatable. I think any woman in HA is like, that just clicks. Like, truly, like that robotic lifestyle. You think in the time, like, this is great. I love this. This is healthy. You almost like put yourself on a pedestal because you're doing
yes.
that. And it's just not. Now you're like, oh God, that's like it's kind of sad that we felt as though we had to live this very robotic lifestyle when life has so much to offer and so many beautiful things. And some of those beautiful things are making yourself strong and eating nutritious foods, but there's a lot of other life that, doesn't necessarily include all that we can't overshadow with these obsessive mindsets. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's where I'd
Yes.
be.
Yes, and I love that you shared that, and I love, the partner thing because it's like it's very true. We are different versions of ourselves, and looking into that of being like who do we want to become as women, right? And this is maybe speaking to the women out there that do not have partners yet, or maybe just dating or whatever. It's like before you choose your mate, who are you? Who are you? And if you've already chosen your mate, that's another podcast to be had. But who are the woman? And even if you have chosen your mate, like still, who do you want to be as that woman? And thinking of that, and then when we fill our cups, whether it's filling our cups with the right foods, the right nourishment, mindset, all the things, then things just it's so weird because if someone told me this, Allie, like 20 years ago, I'd be like, what the hell are you talking about? But when you do your diligence of filling your cup and taking care of yourself, the things come in. The things that you're desiring, the things that you don't even know you desire yet, are going to come in. If you want to call it God, universe, law of attraction, whatever it may be, it's out there, and I 100% believe that is true. And speaking, proof is in the pudding. Let's go, right?
Yep, totally.
So, I appreciate you sharing that with us all, Allie. And I think this is my last question. Maybe one more, but we'll see. So, if period recovery, right? So you set out to get your period back, and it's like, all right, gotta get my period. You obviously know now that is not the finish line. But for many women, it's like, all right, just gotta get my period back. Gotta get my period back. Like once I get my period back, like I'm done. I'm done. What do you think the finish line actually is, or is there a finish line?
Hmm. That's a good question. I don't know if there is ever really a finish line of like any point in life, right? It's like we should always be trying to like evolve and grow and flow and not force any like I don't know, like too concrete of an outcome, but we can chase goals. I think too, like with period recovery, it's like there's like a mindset and a mentality and something mental that needs to also be addressed in the process. And that is such an important part of the process. It's like, yeah, you have to eat more, you have to rest more, you have to get your period back. Like that's essential, you know, biologically, scientifically, um, but you do have to kind of like address like what is going on mentally. Why were we in that type of mindset? What were we chasing? What were we running from? For me, at least, that was a big part of it. So I worked
Mhm.
a lot, still always working on my mental health because it's a part of us, you know? So we have like our physical body, then we have our mental space that like nobody really teaches us how
Mhm.
to work with. And I think I would love in school if we learn like children learned more about that, because it's this massive obstacle that we all have to kind of overcome through life, you know, and it's like not just taking care of our physical self. So for me, I would definitely suggest that you chase that too, is like always chasing like a healthier mindset. I don't think there's ever a such thing as somebody being like, I am perfectly mentally stable. Like, you know, like we're
Yes.
all a
I am
little,
enlightened. Yeah.
yeah, we're all
Yeah. Nope.
crazy in one way or another. But yeah, the mental aspect of it is big. And I'm a big believer in working on mental health. And then yeah, I guess so. There really is
Yeah.
no like final outcome though. It's like we're always going to be working on ourselves. There's always going to be that like little thing in the back of your head, and you're going to have to constantly just put what you know in front of it. Um, and it does become easier over time. So it's like chasing almost like that easier, like, oh, that thought came, but like I know that it's not real. So let me like push it away. I kind of feel like chasing that is like the end goal, like just being able to kind of be like, nope, that's not a
Yeah.
good thought.
Yeah. Just more mentally, I don't want to say capable, but just like more not easily frazzled maybe on things that happen in our lives,
Yeah.
because period recovery, if you think about it in this way, it's like the first, probably one of the first time in many of our lives where it's like, okay, like I followed the rules, I ate more, I rested more, but like maybe the period didn't come back, or maybe the second period didn't come, and it's like, well, did you address the kind of, like you said, the mental aspect behind it, or like the thought processes? I don't even want to call it mental because I am not like a mental health like guru,
Right.
but like the processes behind it, the intentions, the way you speak to yourself, and
Yes.
all of those things. And I like to say, if the rules of recovery, right, didn't work for us, right, eat more, rest more, is God, is the universe, is whatever it is that you believe in, higher source, whatever, is it asking more of you to step into the woman that you're truly meant to be? Because if you just eat more and you rest more, you get your period back. Like, okay, great, you got a healthy period, but are you still having the thoughts around food? Are you still having trouble relaxing? Are you still constantly on edge waiting for the next thing to happen? And then you're just going to pop off and like become anxious and, all those things. But I think we're challenged for the first time, maybe in our lives, with something that we can't control really. And then if we perfect our way into it without looking at the other aspects around it, about our thoughts, our feelings, how we're speaking to ourselves, then what are we really doing? Right. And so I think the finish line, yes, we want to get a period back, but everything doesn't automatically just disappear after you get your first period or your second period or even your third period. And if we really want that full on, like, getting closer to the finish line, because I think the finish line is ultimately like just living a full free life and like having those thoughts. Like, we're going to have those thoughts. We're going to have shit hit the fan. But how are we reacting to it? And I'm sure how you reacted towards things when your period was missing, Ellie, to how they are now, like how things are now versus how things, when you become a mom, they all look different, but they're all getting closer to that woman that you're constantly stepping into.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yes, it's very like when I was trying to get my period back and become a mom, I did not know the healing journey I was going to go on. And the
Same.
healing journey I still continue to go on, because this
Yeah.
is something we have to continue to evolve into the woman that we're meant to be for the future day and the months and years ahead. So yeah, thank you for sharing that perspective, Allie, for us. Which
Yeah.
could be a hard perspective to like settle on too, because we want control, we want
Yeah.
definitive, we want X, Y, and Z, but it took me some time, and I'm sure it took you some time, Ellie, but life doesn't work that way, right?
No.
Um, and the question becomes, how do we support ourselves so we can? I was sharing with a client in my current group coaching. I said, can we look at life as like an ocean? Like, sometimes the waves are going to be friggin' crashing on you. Sometimes they're going to be just gently flowing. And how do we get these waves to where they don't feel like they're super crashing, and that we're maybe somewhere in the middle with things. Easier said than done. But first things first is you gotta be appropriately fueled to even access those rational parts of your brain in order to
Totally.
do that. So, and when I get the question, Ellie, like, well, should I seek therapy first or should I, do period recovery? I say both at the same time, or period recovery before the therapy, because you're
Yes.
only going to be able to go so deep in your mental health if you're not properly fueled and rested. So,
That's so true. Actually,
right.
side note, I was doing therapy during period recovery, and my therapist was big on that. She's like, okay, before we start, like, are you rested? Are you fueled? Are you, and like she would go through these checklists to make sure.
Baseline human needs.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
she was like, we can't really get anywhere until we get that stuff in
Yes.
line. And I really appreciated that about her. And I do think the period recovery helped because if I wasn't doing that, I wouldn't be able to, yeah, be able to reach that
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. So, bottom line out there, if you're working with a mental health professional, a therapist, or even a naturopath or whatever, if you are not baseline, like being checked in, if you're fueling enough, and by the way, they may not have that ability to assess that because that's not their area of expertise. But yeah, that's bottom line. Like, so make sure that person you're working with is like more than sure you are fueling. If not, have them refer you out to someone that can support you in that department. So, um, last question. I thought I said I was last. We're going to wrap up in just a moment, but I want to know, Ellie, if we fast forwarded 5 years from that first podcast episode to today, because it's kind of like, has it been 5 years?
Yes.
Yeah, it's really been, it's actually, because
Yeah,
I'm like, all right,
that's so
5 years, 10 years. I'm
crazy.
like, yeah, it has. So let's just say last podcast episode to this podcast episode, what would you tell the woman you were even back then? Even like you had your period when we did our first podcast episode. Would
Yes.
there be anything else you would tell her?
Um, just have faith that things will work out, like I feel like things do tend to have a way of working out at the end of the day. Um, and just like, I don't know, just like chill. I think I would just tell her to just like chill, like just chill, just, have faith, keep praying, keep doing what you believe and the things that, you put out there, you're going to attract. And because it's exactly what happened to me. Like I manifested my whole life. I know that sounds so crazy, but by truly just working on my physical, my mental. And so just putting faith. And I try to tell my friends this that aren't exactly where they maybe want to be in life.
Mm,
And I still have lots of things that I'm still trying to get to and reach. I'm not like a perfectly done person.
of course.
Um, but yeah, just like having faith that you are exactly where you're supposed to be in this moment of time. That's probably what I would tell her.
Yes. Thank you, Ellie. That is beautiful. And I want to say I am a big fan of manifestation. Once you become connected with yourself, your body, your fueling, all the things, you are able to manifest. And I think that's another thing. Any manifestors out there, like you're trying to do this manifestation thing, if you're not properly fueled, you are not going to manifest as appropriately as if you would if you're working with like a full deck of mental thought power. So,
100%.
but yes, big fan of that. And I do believe it's very, very true. So, well, Allie, it has been a pleasure. We got to catch up on a podcast that we couldn't air because there was technical glitches, but now we have this beautiful one and
Yeah.
it is actually airing quite soon. So who knows, you may be listening to this. There might be a baby soon or there might be a couple weeks. Either way, I am so glad you were able to share like life after recovery and what that looks like to give more hope and light to other women that are out here listening to this. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. It's truly an honor.
To all the amazing women out there, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Take a moment to reflect on what resonated and how you can start applying it to your own recovery journey. I truly want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here and listening to the podcast. I know there are so many podcasts and resources out there, and it means the world to me that you're choosing to spend this time with me. If you're looking for more support on your recovery journey, visit my website, periodnutritionist.com. And if this episode supported you, it would mean the world to me, again, if you just subscribed, left a review, or shared it with another woman who needs to hear this. The more we talk about missing periods and fertility, the more women we could support. Are you ready to get your period back and step into the woman you were meant to be? I'll see you in 2 weeks.